this Pompano Beach City Commission meeting to order July 23rd, 2024 at 6 p.m. If we can go ahead and put all of our cell phones on vibrate or silence, I would appreciate it. That way we don't get disrupted during the meeting. So please put all of your cell phones on vibrate or silence. Appreciate that. Let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier?
Here.
Commissioner Moss?
Here.
Commissioner Perkins?
Here.
Commissioner Segerson-Eaton?
Here.
Vice Mayor McGee?
Here.
Mayor Harden.
Here. Our invocation this evening will be given by Dr. Ophelia Sanders from the Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church. So if we could all please stand for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Good evening.
Good evening. I bring you greetings from Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church, located at 2380 Northwest 3rd Street in Pompano Beach, Florida, where our pastor is none other than Bishop Lewis Sanders. It is a pleasure to be here this evening. Let us pray. Most kind Heavenly Father, Lord, we ask that you come in the midst of this council meeting. We pray that everything done and said here tonight will be done decent and in order, and that every decision that is made on this evening is for the benefit of all citizens in the city of Pompano Beach. I ask that you keep a covering of protection over all of the city councilmen, all the city officials, the residents of the city, and the employees. All these things we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. All right. Can I get a motion approving the regular City Commission meeting minutes of July 9th, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. On our agenda this evening, item number 24 will be postponed until the September 10th meeting at 1 p.m. So 24 is going to be postponed. Ms. Sybil, are there any other changes to our agenda?
Yes, Mayor. We're also requesting that item 28 is also postponed until the September 10th meeting.
Item 28 postponed until the same meeting?
Yes.
September 10th?
Thank you.
At 1 p.m. Very good. Can I get a motion approving the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. That takes us up to our consent agenda discussion. This evening we'll be pulling item number 1 for individual discussion, so all other items on the consent agenda are eligible for discussion during audience to be heard. So item 1 will be pulled. That takes us up to audience to be heard. Do we have anyone signed up this evening, Mr. Alfred?
Yes, we do, Mayor. We have a total of 5 speakers.
Very good.
First speaker, Marlo Marlin, followed by Tondra King, followed by Mike Seversky.
Very good. Just name and address for the record, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Marlo?
I'm not Marlo. Tondra King, 124 Northwest 15th Street, Pompano Beach. I'd like to first off by saying thank you to the building department. I had a small issue with my permit, which was totally my error. They told me what I need to do and it was done, and they were extremely professional, called me back in a very timely manner, so I'd like to say thank you to the building department. And the other thing I'd like to address is, I guess it was last Monday or Monday before last, there was a budget meeting. And during that budget meeting, I was very concerned about the Braggs Criswell substation. And I understood the mayor to say that it was on a wish list, and I heard Commissioner Segerson-Eaton say that Pompano does make sure that safety is a priority. We don't really feel that safety is a priority, but if it is a priority, I just want to know why is the substation on a wish list and why wasn't it placed into the budget? That is something obviously that we need. I think you have the crime statistics and that you get them often to let you know what's going on and what's occurring, in particular in the Northwest as it relates to crime. And we would love to see those substations. I think it would be integral to our community, to the safety, to let the bad guys know that the officers are right there, and that we have stations where people can go right into to ask for help or gather information, or we can share intel. So I think it is paramount that we get that substation back on whatever budget meeting we need to have to do it, then we need to do it expeditiously, and we really need it in our community. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Appreciate your comments. Next speaker.
Marlo Moreland, 445 Southwest 2nd Street. Good evening, everybody. I, too, was at the same budget meeting that Ms. King was referring to. And first, it was my first budget meeting here, living back in the city of Pompano Beach, and I thought that it went pretty well. I really do. I think everybody, spoke up and spoke well. And, to me, even though we may have our own individual opinions as to how we're going to make this city great again, I do believe that everybody was coming from the heart. We may not agree, that's okay, but we can disagree and still love each other. One of the things, as Tandra mentioned, Ms. King mentioned, is the substation, and one of the things that did concern me was we really didn't spend a whole lot of time, discussing the need of that substation. We spent more time on the need of the skate park at the community park. And while I do recognize that that was something that was promised to the people and the people are expecting it, I do respect the fact that you want to follow through on that promise. However, it wasn't even a few days later that we had a murder yet again. And so, it truly concerns me because, I feel we need to spend a little bit more time and a little bit more money on keeping our community safe. And I believe not just our community, but our police officers as well, and the people that come through, right? And all I can think of is, people that want to go to this skate park are going to be within our city, so keeping it safe is so important. And I do believe to just keep pushing it back and pushing it back and pushing it back and making it a quote-unquote wish is sad. We need it. It's a need right now. If our crime wasn't where it was, then I would say, oh, you know what, you're right, maybe it's not such a big deal. But we're having a serious issue with crime in this city. So I would just like to suggest that we put a little bit more emphasis and a little bit more urgency into providing that substation. So thank you.
Very good, thank you. Appreciate your comments. Next speaker.
Mike Seversky, followed by Jackie Moreland.
Hi, Mike Skaversky, 1630 Southwest 5th Avenue, Pompano Beach, Florida. He's not here, but I'll say it anyway. Once I got done speaking, last time I was here, the person that came after me said a few things, and then the city manager agreed with her. Well, he wasn't telling the truth. And we have too many people here that either up here probably know I'm telling the truth and don't want to say anything, and we also have too many people here that just don't know what's going on. So if we recall, this is from the Pompano Pelican, there was Channel 10 News, there was numerous articles, and all I'll talk about is the one little part, because I know it's coming up tonight. So this is just one small part where he claimed I was lying. It says, RMA Associates, which has played a significant role in development here over the last 10 years, might lose out on future consulting contracts. Hired to manage the CRA in 2009, RMA quit, if you are watching, Mr. Harrison, in February of 2018. So who was telling the truth and who was once again lying? What I don't like is when I sit down, he can refute something I said, and I can't come back and tell the truth. It's here, right here. It was on the news, okay? Then they eventually came back because you voted for it. But they quit because of a bad atmosphere, and there were a few people up here on the commission that were not really in favor of them coming back. But I just figured I'd get that out of the way, and it's in writing. So I know Harrison is watching. Maybe you're in Texas. I don't know where he's at his other house, but who knows?
Next speaker. Who's the final speaker also, Mr. Alfred?
Audrey Koshoff. Audrey Koshoff. Oh,
Very good. Very good.
Good evening. My name is Jackie Moreland, 1526 Northwest 7th Lane. I, too, am here to speak about the Braggs Criswell substation. I know you all know by now that there was another shooting at Mitchell near Mitchell Park, not at Mitchell Park, in that area. And so my concern is, again, I heard the city manager say at the budget meeting also that he took a tour to find places for the skateboard park. So perhaps we could take a tour to find some locations for the Braggs Criswell substation. My family, my son coaches at that park. My granddaughter uses that park. And just for a shooting to be in that area and be so close, and this wonderful lady that I'm sure she's probably going to be honored or whatever, was there to assist, and BSO was right there. I think it screams that we need that kind of visibility in our community. And sometimes when I come and I want to speak about what my community needs, and we may need more policing, we may need more proactive strategies than other communities, some of the looks on your faces, it almost looks like your area is full of crime. We don't have that. And that's the kind of feel I get, but I hope that that's not true. But I know one of the main reasons that Roca Point wanted to build in that area because it was a slum and plight area, and but when we're looking at that and you're building a big project there, we want to be able to say that it's, policed in the right way. So the Braggs Criswell building the substation, perhaps Mr. Harrison can take a ride with me, and I know a couple of places that would be great in my neighborhood if he wants to, and you too as well, Mayor. Come take a ride, and I can show you some places where it'd be a great substation. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
Hey, everybody. Good night. Good night, I guess it is, even though it's early. My name is Audrey Fezzik. I'm actually just coming here today because of a customer or a resident's concern. I had a resident outreach event, and I met with a woman named Jill who lives in the Harbor Shores neighborhood, and she let me know that she had. So I have an email for whoever I can reach out to, but basically she was having an issue with a streetlight outage on the southeast side of Dow Street and A1A. She lives in that neighborhood, and over a year ago, because of FPL is currently working on that neighborhood to put the electricity underground. So about a year ago, she said that only one of the two lights were out, and she reported it to FPL, and it was never repaired. The second light, however, has just recently gone out, and so now she has no street lights on the block. And so she was mentioning that she can't even really walk her dog down the street, and she's been trying to reach out to the city, she's been trying to reach out to FPL, she's kind of gotten no answers for over a year, at least with the one light, but now that the second light is out, it's an additional issue, and now it's a safety issue for her. She does have an FPL ticket number, but they were told it could take up to 40 days, and I was just wondering, I know we have some public works potential, temporary lights we could maybe get to that neighborhood, and that might be an option. So I just wanted to come here on her behalf. She couldn't make it tonight. She gave me a little picture and everything of her trying to walk her dog, and so I'm happy to forward this on. I tried calling Public Works for her on her behalf, but they got the voicemail, so I figured, well, while I'm here, might as well do this.
If you just get that information to the city manager's office,
Perfect,
I'm sure
thank you.
they can help out. Thank you.
that concludes audience to be heard, Mayor.
Very good. Thank you very much. That takes us up to, let's see, our consent agenda. Can I get a motion approving these items 2 through 13?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Item number 1 is a resolution.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, designating the name of the city's beach lifeguard headquarters located at 50 North Pompano Beach Boulevard as the Paul J. Hurt Pompano Beach Ocean Rescue Headquarters, providing an effective date.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded for discussion. This item was pulled by Vice Mayor McGee. Vice Mayor?
Yes, no, I just wanted to highlight this naming and read the email that I had received about it, because it's a pretty cool piece of history that we've decided to, or we seem to be moving forward with. It was, Dear Vice Mayor McGee, my name is Kathy Hurt. My husband is Paul A. Hurt. He was a decorated policeman serving Pompano Beach for 31 years. His father was the first lifeguard for the city of Pompano Beach, and I am inquiring to see if it is possible to name the new Ocean Rescue Office after Paul J. Hurt. Paul J. Hurt was hired as the first lifeguard for the city of Pompano Beach in 1949. He was working for Mr. William Kester when the city began discussing the need for a lifeguard. Mr. Kester said he had the perfect candidate. Paul was born and raised in Miami and served as a medic in the Army. He was required to attend aquatic school in North Carolina to become certified. When Paul started, they didn't have a lifeguard stand, so he had to stand on the beachfront shack on the main beach on Atlantic Boulevard. He wore many hats in the beginning, not only as a lifeguard, he was also a sworn police officer. He did the diving for Pompano Beach Police and Fire. He also did rescue and recovery work for other local police departments besides Pompano Beach. The latter part of his career, he served on the City of Pompano Beach Pension Board. His career spanned over 33 years. He performed approximately 3,000 verified rescues and pullouts. The Pompano Beach Historical Society did a special presentation on him several years ago, and there are several articles and photographs. So I had forwarded this along to Historic Society and city manager staff, and now it's come back to us. And I definitely think it is apropos that I'm glad that they came forward and let us know this history about our first lifeguard.
Absolutely.
That's
Very
that.
nice. Thank you for that, Vice Mayor. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very good. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Seeing none, public input closed. Further commission discussion, questions, concerns? Let's go ahead and call the roll.
Excuse me, Mayor. We do have the son and his wife here this evening. If you don't mind, I'd like to have them come up and say a word.
Certainly, absolutely. Please do, Mr. Boudreau. I had no idea. Please come forward. Good evening.
I'm Paul A. Hurt, and I'm representing my family, my father, Paul J., who passed away in '89. And I would like to thank everybody for this consideration and remembering his legacy like that. He had the hard part, and he did serve the city well for 33 years. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. McGee. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for bringing it forward. Thank you so much. It's always important for us to remember our history. Thank you. Very good. Any further commission discussion? Let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Moss,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Segerson-Eaton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee,
Yes.
Mayor Harden.
Yes, thank you for that. That takes us up to our regular agenda. Items number 14 and 15 are quasi-judicial in nature. Mr. Berman will discuss our proceeding, how we will proceed.
Thank you, Mayor. If anyone wishes to testify on items number 14 and 15, they must be sworn and may be subject to cross-examination by the City Commission or by interested parties. Individuals who address the commission should state their name and whether they have been sworn. City staff will make its presentation first, followed by the applicant or anyone else wishing to testify. Following the concluding remarks of the applicant, the hearing concludes, and the City Commission will make its consideration. All those who wish to testify on items number 14 and 15, please stand at this time, raise your right hand, and the city clerk will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence or testimony that you're going to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Item 14 is a second reading of an ordinance.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, rezoning the property located at 101 South Ocean Boulevard from B2 AOD Community Business in the Atlantic Boulevard Overlay District to B3 AOD General Business in the Atlantic Boulevard Overlay District, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
So moved?
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. Good evening, Ms. Dolan.
Thank you, Mayor. Commission, G. Dolan, Development Services. This is the second reading of our ordinance to amend the zoning on this site from B2 to B3. Both myself and the applicant are present if you have additional questions. The only change since first reading is the applicant has voluntarily recorded a restriction to the height of the ultimate building as per we discussed last meeting. So if you have any other questions, both myself and the applicant are present if you want to ask them now.
Very good. Appreciate it. Thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Please come forward. Just your name, address, and indicate if you've been sworn.
I wasn't expecting it to be this fast, but hi, Audrey Fezzik, 412 Briney, and yes, I have been sworn. I am, again, coming to completely disagree with how things are being handled at the moment with this situation. The Planning and Zoning meeting on May 22nd it was decided with an affirmative vote that was contingent upon either a deed restriction or the proffered, I forget the name of the term exactly, what was it? The
Declaration of-
Thank you, Declaration of Restrictive Covenants to be added into the city commission and to the ordinance that would be changed. When we were here last, on July 9th, that was not done yet. And as of right before I got in the car, I quickly checked again, and it was still not added to that ordinance or the zoning ordinance or the change, as far as I could see. In addition, I also have, and I have said this many times, including back in May, I had a large number of residents who had weighed in on this decision and weighed in on what they thought regarding the hotel and property, and I had offered it many times that there was a survey link that somebody could easily come view it. I made it a little simpler this time. Instead of the link, I just made a pie chart of all of the people who opposed this versus the people who, so these are the people who opposed the zoning change, or the people who opposed the zoning change versus the people who are for it. And there are 557 responses to this. I have emailed a copy to everybody who is sitting there on the dais, and as well as to Kervin, so that the city does have a copy. I do have a free copy available if she would like it. In addition, at the previous meeting on the 9th and again on May 22nd, Mr. Shine also mentioned that he had conducted community outreach or had attempted to, and that pretty much everybody was either just didn't want the project in general or that he had actually tried, specifically relating to the Pompano Beach Club. I have here, which I have received basically too late to print out for the evening, but as from the Pompano Beach Club, a notice that they both checked the North Tower and the North Tower and the South Tower, that the management over there have never received any correspondence from Andrew or his company. So while Andrew tried to reach out to neighborhood community groups, it was not quite done on the property that affects this zoning change the most, which is the Pompano Beach Club North and South Towers. I just think at this point, my recommendation would be to go ahead and to the commission, and with respect, to just go ahead and maybe say, let's come back, table this, let's get everything right, and give people the opportunity to move forward with both readings, again, with all the information, including the height restrictions in place. And that would be my suggestion, and that would be what I know that the residents would like. There are additional, aside from the two questions, there are additional opposing the zoning. There's 544 yes that they oppose the zoning change from B2 to B3, and they're all, most of them are Pompano Beach residents or have property or property owners in the area. No is the people who are for the zoning change. Do you oppose the usage of maximum height of 210 feet due to the slenderness provision for hotels? The answer is yes for 540 people and no for 17. Continued overdevelopment and zoning changes in Pompano Beach are affecting me negatively as a resident. Yes, strongly agree. I'm sorry, this one's different. Strongly agree, 508. Neutral, 12. Agree, 34. There was also a disagree and strongly disagree option. Unfortunately, nobody picked that. While I believe that redevelopment and upgrades to properties are a welcome addition to our area, I am concerned about the larger scale of building sizes and heights, as well as the quantity of new high-rise developments already planned or in development in Pompano Beach and the overall impact on our community and infrastructure. Again, strongly agree, 534, agree, 20, and 2 were neutral. So and then there's about 22 more pages of additional comments that were added. I just copied and pasted all of them, so and provided again to everybody there. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Very good. Ms. Fessick, can you please give those items to the clerk? That's for the record.
Absolutely.
Yes. Will be part of the permanent record. Thank you. Further input from the public, please come forward. Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion, questions, concern. Commissioner Perkins.
Yes, Mayor. Did I hear her correctly when she said there was no community outreach or no community meeting regarding this project? Because I think, Mayor, you mentioned at the last meeting about outreach, and I think you said that there were.
We reached out to
just identify yourself, please.
Oh, Andrew Shine, representing the property owner, 699 North Federal Highway, Fort Lauderdale. There was community outreach, not to the associations. We had reached out specifically to Audrey as she was running this organization on the beach. We had reached out to her 5 separate times to set up a meeting. We then also met with a couple of individuals at hearings and not at hearings. After AAC, there were 7 or so very nice ladies outside that expressed concerns, mostly related to things like utilities and fire access. We made sure to address all of those concerns prior to the Planning and Zoning Board hearing, and then there was no more speaking out against that.
So you're saying that you met with the residents
We met with various residents, yes.
surrounding this project?
Yes. We did not, we reached out to, I'm not aware of any official civic organizations in this area, so we did reach out to Ms. Fessick, who was
No, I'm not
propping her up
talking about
to
her.
be an official representative of this organization. We did think, usually when I meet with neighborhood associations, I reach out to the president to get something set up. So that's what I was doing, and we tried 5-6 times to do that.
How many residents would you say you've met with regarding this project?
20?
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
And just to clear up some things from before, we did record the declaration. It's not included in the backup because it's not a condition of approval. There were some legal issues that staff had with it being a condition of approval, so we ended up doing it voluntarily, as we promised to do.
Very good, thank you. Got Commissioner Fournier?
A question regarding what you recorded. The last time we met, you said you wanted some buffer on top of the 170. What did we end up recording?
6-foot buffer, 183.
183.
Yes. Okay. So it doesn't allow for an additional floor, but it could allow for any minor changes in construction, but not an additional floor.
Okay. I have concerns about the outreach, but like the last meeting, I really have concerns about overdevelopment in this local area right by Atlantic. And we have, if everything approved gets built, we're going to have traffic issues, parking issues, issues seeing the sun. So while this project itself might serve a need, I just think the increased density, well, it's not density because it's a hotel, but the increase is not warranted right now.
May I touch on something there?
Yep.
This is me being just open and brutally honest here. This owner they're going to be paying up about $100,000 in property taxes this year. It's a vacant site. Something is going to be built here. And it's, what we tried to do is to go that, as we discussed last time, the short and fat. We tried to be considerate of what should be built here because, you don't pay $100,000 in property taxes every year and just, eat it. So something will be built here, and it's, we tried to do the short and fat to be respectful. We've tried to provide all the parking that we are required. Well, sorry, we're not required any parking. We provided all of the parking that our use could possibly have on site instead of burdening in it. And parking is very expensive. So something will be built, and we tried to be respectful of what would be built here as opposed to a lot of the other developments that have been approved. So I do understand that the general concern of overdevelopment, but if we're going to develop, it might as well be smart projects that don't put the burdens that other projects do.
Thank you.
Very good. I've got, before we move on, I've made an error. I forgot to put into the record. I've had ex parte communications with the developer and his representative. I've also received emails on this project concerning their concerns about the development itself. Just want to put that on the record.
Same. I've had ex parte conversations
And emails?
about the project and probably emails.
Okay.
I've also had ex parte communications with the developer's representative and emails with various residents.
Yes, I have also had ex parte communications through Zoom with the applicant. Thank you.
Very good. And,
I have as well.
okay, very good. Mr. Berman?
Yes, sir.
Should I reopen the public portion of this since we just went on record about the ex parte?
No, we're fine.
Okay, very good. Just want
Fine, as long as it's on the record, it's part of the proceeding.
Very good.
I do want to make one, if I may.
Sure.
Thank you. I just want to qualify what Mr. Shine said. I was going to say it, he got to it first. The height limitation was never going to be part of the ordinance. It's not part of the rezoning. It's not part of the zoning criteria by law. They voluntarily decided to file it. It's filed in the public record. It can only be amended with approval the way it's written by the city commission. So it's not changing, it's not going anywhere, and it's there. But it was never, ever intended to be part of the zoning process. Thank you, Mayor.
Gotcha. Very good. Got Commissioner Segerson-Eaton.
Thank you. I think it bears mentioning because that there seems to be some confusion. So we have to also follow the law. And this piece of property has certain vested rights. It's like if you want to buy a property to put a house on, you have the right to do that. This property has rights already vested. We can't just say, no, you can't build a project because those rights exist by law. And we essentially would be breaking the law if we didn't respect the property rights. And it's codified in the Florida statutes, Burt J. Harris Jr. Act. People have rights. The best we can do is try to work with people who want to develop their properties so that projects are done in the smartest, best, and with the beneficial impact that it can be. As Andrew stated, something's going to be built there. They have the right to build it. And we can't just arbitrarily and capriciously say no. And that's just the way, those are just the rules of the road. And I just, in case there's any confusion out there, that is a fact that we have to deal with. So that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Very good. Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to restate it too, because I also agree with Commissioner Segerson-Eaton. And then as far as public outreach, it is a shame that something more organized can't be coordinated. But I do, if I remember correctly, and during the P&Z meeting, the concerned residents came out, and a lot of what ended up being the design, the lower, fatter building was off concerns brought up from residents. Am I correct?
Sorry, can you rephrase that?
Sorry, that a lot of the redesign of going with the shorter, fatter building came from feedback from concerned residents who did not want the taller tower on the site.
Yeah. Not just feedback from this project, but feedback from previous projects that I've spoken to many neighbors about in the area. Yes, we knew parking and height were concerns, so we went. As Commissioner Segerson-Eaton had said, we have a right to go up to 210 feet with zero parking here, but we heard their concerns, so we didn't go up to 210 feet that we have the right to do, and we added 200 parking spaces that we didn't have to do. So yes, we listened to their concerns, or I think we did.
Yes, and I'm going to agree with Commissioner Segerson-Eaton that is, to an extent, people who buy their properties have the rights to build on them. And I said at the last meeting, I do really appreciate your developer listening and working with us to try and make the best compromise where he can utilize his property rights, but also keep in mind the issues that we keep coming back around to, height, parking being some of the top two, probably. I'd say definitely on the beach, height and parking. So, this is one of those things that is, in my opinion, the definition of smart, thoughtful development is trying to not block as much view from Pompano Beach Club looking west, have more than enough parking on site than you're required, and especially taking into consideration the mixed-use options that I know you're going to be exploring. And I know we had this conversation, making sure that you park for your mixed-use users, because otherwise they won't come either. So, I think this is a needed project on the beach. I think we need another hotel. I love the fact that you did come and listen to people throughout this project, other projects, addressing their concerns, coming back with, I think, the best compromise of a project that could be put on this piece. Thank you.
Very good. Further commission discussion? Commissioner Moss.
Commissioner Segerson-Eaton pretty much said everything I was going to say, and I completely agree with what she said. And people like to, people want to control other people's property, but they don't want their property controlled. That's sort of God's one true universal law. When this proposed zoning change was brought to the city, I assume that letters were sent out to people within 500 feet. is the young lady that spoke earlier from the audience made reference to the fact that no one from the management company was notified. The management company doesn't need to be notified. The management company isn't an owner of a unit. So if all of the people who live within 500 feet were notified, were notified. And unfortunately, a lot of, particularly people who live on the beach, you have a lot of snowbirds, and they just don't pay attention. So in terms of outreach to the community, you did everything that you were supposed to do, and just because people don't care or don't bother to get back to you or try to attend to meetings, it's not your fault. I think you've gone above and beyond in trying to take into consideration the concerns of the neighbors, and like Commissioner Severs and Eaton said, they have every right in the world to build something there. And when you consider what you could have built and what you are building, I think you and your client deserve a pat on the back. Thanks.
Very good. I did want to just bring that up also. Ms. Dolan, can you confirm that we did send out notices? Everybody within 500 feet received notice of the rezoning, so it was publicly noticed, so folks were aware of it. Perhaps there was not an individual group meeting held at the Pompano Beach Club, but those folks who were right across the street basically would have gotten the notification. So, yes, thank you very much. Further commission discussion? Let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier?
No.
Commissioner Moss?
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins?
No.
Commissioner Seeger-Eaton?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee?
Yes.
Mayor Harden?
Yes. Item 15 is the first reading of an ordinance.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, abandoning a portion of a 30-foot wide utility easement located on the west side of North Andrews Avenue in the block between Northwest 22nd Street and Northwest 18th Street, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. Once again, Ms. Dolan.
Thank you, Mayor. Commission, Jean Dolan, Development Services. This is a request to abandon the southern 15 feet of a 30-foot wide utility easement. The easement is located on the west side of North Andrews Avenue in the block between Northwest 22nd Street and Northwest 18th Street. In the portion of the easement to be abandoned, there is an existing forest main and sanitary sewer line that the applicant has agreed to move into the portion of the easement that will remain. The Planning and Zoning Board unanimously recommended approval with 2 conditions, which will be met prior to the second reading, and staff recommends approval. Both myself and the applicant are available to answer any questions you may have.
Very good. Thank you for that. Does the applicant wish to make any presentation? Nope, just here for questions. Very good. Thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion. Questions, concerns? Seeing none, let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier?
Yes.
Commissioner Moss?
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Seeger-Eaton?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee?
Yes.
Mayor Harden?
Yes, and that ends our quasi-judicial proceedings. Item number 16 is a resolution.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, relating to the provision of fire rescue services, facilities, and programs throughout the incorporated area of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, establishing the estimated assessment rate for fire rescue assessments for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2024, directing the preparation of an assessment roll, authorizing a public hearing, and directing the provision of notice thereof, providing for exemption, providing for a vacancy adjustment for mobile home park property, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. Good evening, Ms. Diamante.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Commissioners, Erida Diamante, Budget Director. This is the first hearing to adopt the preliminary fire assessment rates. The fire assessment program provides a dedicated source of funding for the fire operations. The fees paid to the city under this program cannot be used for any other purpose. The costs covered in these fees are allocated for fire operations, and then we have four different rates. We have the residential rate set as $331. It is worth noticing that the city staff has not made any suggestions or recommendations to the City Commission to adjust these fees. So these are the same fees that we adopted in the fiscal year 2024. We are making the same recommendation for fiscal year 25. Commercial fees are set at 54 cents, industrial warehouse at 8 cents, and institutional at 30 cents. Now, as I mentioned, this is the first hearing to adopt a preliminary resolution. The final hearing is scheduled on September 12th, which is the first public budget hearing at 6 p.m. here at the Commission chambers. And that concludes my comments.
Very good. Thank you for that. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion, questions, concerns. Seeing none, let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Moss,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Segerson Eaton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee,
Yes.
Mayor Harton.
Yes, item 17 is a resolution.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, approving and authorizing the proper city officials to execute work authorization number 1 in the amount of $450,000 pursuant to the agreement for landscaping and installation and maintenance services between the City of Pompano Beach and Cutting Edge Industries, Inc. for landscaping maintenance services for various city locations, providing an effective date.
So moved?
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. Good evening, Mr. Donovan.
Sir, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. This is a resolution to approve work authorization number 1 for landscape services and maintenance at the I-95 interchanges of Sample, Copans, and Atlantic. And the cost will be $450,000 per year. The company that we're proposing to do this with is Cutting Edge Industries. And that concludes my comments.
Very good. Thank you for that. This is a public hearing. Any input from the public, please come forward. Just name and address for the record.
Mike Skaversky, 1630 Southwest 5th Avenue in Pompano. The only question I have is, have you done like a cost analysis? If this was cheap, would it be cheaper if we had some of the guys that work in the city do this?
We did do that. This is the most cost-efficient alternative.
Okay.
Very good.
You sure?
Yes, sir.
Further input from the public? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion. Commissioner Fournier.
Couple quick things. Following up on that comment, so Public Works, have they been maintaining this and it's a change? Or what? Who has been maintaining these areas in the past?
These areas were, I believe, well, actually, I'll have Mr. Rob McCon come up and answer that question. Make sure I give you the right information.
Right. I mean, it's a big number, so, but these are big areas and they are the kind of the entryways to our city, so.
Rob McCon, Public Works Director. Yes, Public Works has been maintaining those interchanges. However, as you've seen, all those interchanges have been or are going through construction. So we had pulled crews off that so we could maintain other areas back in the city. Now that they're coming back online, it's a crunch to try to meet the level of standard all over the city. So we need additional help to take care of those interchanges.
Okay, thank you. So when I get off of I-95 at Atlantic, which I try to avoid because you can't get down Atlantic, but I always think Florida's warmest welcome, and you kind of look at some of the landscaping there, and it needs attention. So I'm actually really excited to see that these entryways to our city are going to look clean and hopefully some new plants and all that. So thank you.
Very good. Further commission discussion? Yes, it's an exciting prospect. It really is. I mean, I know, and Public Works, I mean, you guys haven't had a chance to really get out there because of all the construction, but the entryways to our city are so crucially important. And I've been preaching about this since I was first on the city commission, that the aesthetics of our community have such an impact on the way the residents feel, the way the visitors feel, the way people just perceive our city. And if this can get us to where we want to be for those entryways, I'm all for it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Further commission discussion. Commissioner Segerson Eaton.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo your comments, Mayor, because, you know, during the budget meetings, et cetera, the Public Works has so many more landscapes to deal with it now, and we're growing and beautifying. So yes, they need the help. So thank you.
Absolutely. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's go ahead and call a roll.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Moss,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Segerson Eaton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee,
Yes.
Mayor Harton.
Yes. Item 18 is a second reading of an ordinance.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, approving and authorizing the proper city officials to execute a master services agreement between the City of Pompano Beach and Sound Thinking, Inc., providing for severability, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and second for discussion. Ms. Sybil.
Thank you, Mayor. There are no changes from first reading, and there are no additional comments from staff. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for that. This is a public hearing. Are there any input from the public? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion, questions, concerns. Commissioner Fournier.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question or a concern, if you will. When we talked about this 2 weeks ago, I said that I was willing to give a 1 year of trial of this, basically, again, to continue these services, but to really make sure that we were taking a close look at the value we were getting for this. I know in the last 2 weeks, we did have a shooting. It was outside, I believe, and I don't believe the shot spotter system went off. Can someone confirm that and answer what happened if it didn't go off? Because I'm looking for 1 year, but it only took 2 weeks for me to get a data point that concerns me.
Is there anyone here from ShotSpotter who can address it? First off, answer if that's accurate, and then follow up with an explanation.
Alfred Lewis, 4840 Northwest 55th Drive, Coconut Creek, Senior Director of Trauma Response and Community Engagement with Sound Thinking. Commissioner Fournier is correct.
Can you speak up a little, please?
Commissioner Fournier is correct about us missing the event at the shooting involving the child. That was an incident where, and Phil Daly sent a comprehensive email after we marshaled our team together. What actually happened is the system actually detected the gunfire event. As I've shared in the past, it detects dynamic events, bangs, booms, and pops. If it is picked up by 3 or more sensors, it's multilaterated or triangulated to get an X and a Y coordinate, and it sends the information to a cloud-based location and classifier. The classifier, what it often does is it looks at data and it says, I think that this is a gunfire event. I'm going to send it to the Incident Review Center and have someone look at it further and send that information out. It also gets some data and it says, I don't think that this is a gunfire event. It could be a helicopter, it could be a dumpster, it could be whatever it is. And the classifier will not send it to the Incident Review Center. This incident was not sent to the Incident Review Center by the classifier. There were 16 sensors within 1,200 meters of the event that participated in the event. So the system worked, but because of a classifier, I would have to call it an error, it didn't send it. We marshaled our team together, our field services, our customer success, as well as our Incident Review Center team. We did an in-depth analysis, and what we discovered is that we are having some power issues. So we pay for power at several locations, and some of those locations we're not getting power. So what we have to do is we have to actually do a deeper review of where they are, and if we can get the power situation taken care of through our vendor, we'll do that. Most likely what we're going to have to do is relocate those sensors to other locations so that we can have the continuity and the additional forms of data retrieval for the alerts. I've shared a lot with you, but bottom line is we missed it. And any incident that we miss is something that is terrible, and we try hard not to let that happen, but especially when it's a shooting involving a child. We take it very serious. We have an action plan in place, and we will have our field services team to start the process of identifying other locations, and we will have regular bi-weekly meetings with Pompano Beach, the district here in Pompano Beach, to share information on the progress. So you are correct, we missed that incident.
Thank you. I had emailed and asked these questions and didn't receive a response, so I'm glad you're here today with all of the detailed analysis of what happened. I mean, that was one of my first reactions because we had just had this debate up here about this technology, and within 2 weeks, I said, was it outside? Yes, the shooting was outside, and it didn't go off. So I hear you that you've identified power issues. It just seems to me like for what we're paying, this technology might not be there or be giving us the value that we should expect and that we deserve. So thank you.
Very good. Commissioner Moss.
Yeah, that was a lovely speech. Thank you. I haven't changed my mind since the last meeting, and according to what our police department tells us, I think this is money that is not well spent. If we want to increase the police presence and protection in that area, I would do what the police chief says: hire a few more police officers and send them to that area. I think this is a technology that just isn't working, and it's a lot of money, and the money could be spent more effectively in other ways. So I'll continue to vote no on this.
Very good. Commissioner Perkins.
Thank you, Mayor. I think we should continue with the spot shotter, because we do have quite a few people that do not call when they hear gunshots. So I think you need to do better as far as putting something in place. I don't think we need for this to go away because of one incident, which was very important because it was pertaining to a young kid. But I do feel like we need this system in place, especially where there's a lot of crime in District 4 and 5. So it's critical when you have a lot of residents that do not pick up the phone and call when they hear gunshots. So we need to keep this in place, in my opinion. Thank you.
Very good. Vice Mayor?
No, I just want to say, I agree with Commissioner Moss, and I thank Commissioner Fournier for following up on the shot that wasn't caught. But if we need more people, I tend to side more with what BSO recommended. If I would support looking to hiring more boots on the ground. The technology is cool. I just don't think it's there yet.
Very good. I've got a question on the explanation that you just gave as far as how the incident was missed. The classifier you referred to repeatedly, that's is that a person or is that software?
It's software.
Software. So the
AI
classifier is a mechanical software computer type thing. So that's who kind of dropped the ball, so to speak. Now how many sensors did you say picked this up?
16 sensors 16 sensors were within 1,200 meters of this incident.
Did 16 sensors pick up?
No.
Okay.
No.
So, then really, what difference does it make how many sensors were in the vicinity of this incident?
It makes sense because they were actually there and they were functioning. So, do you know exactly how many, Phil?
Phil Daly, Vice President for Sound Thinking. So we were able to locate the audio of the incident on 2 of those sensors. So we simply didn't have enough sensors that had a good enough data quality for the classifier to be able to publish the event or send it to the IRC.
Okay, so I'm just trying to understand. So we had 16 sensors supposedly in the area, for lack of a better term, and only 2 of those sensors actually picked this up.
That's correct. And if I can build on what Al just said. So this raised a major red flag for us. We did convene a team, cross-functional team, to analyze what we found. And again, hate to reiterate what Al just said, but that we've had random power issues with some of those sensors. And so those sensors have been going down. We're dispatching a field team to repair, replace sensors. We're working with our contractor to reinstate fix the power issue that we've been seeing. We've also instituted a peer review process so that instead of relying on one reviewer for incidents, we're now doing 2 reviewers for each incident to make sure that we don't misclassify incidents as well. We recognize that every event, every miss is consequential. It can literally mean the difference between life and death. I'd like to, just for a minute, also put things in perspective. I tabulated the numbers from January 1st through July 22nd, we detected and published 186 alerts. As we discussed last time, on the average, 75% of gunfire incidents in Pompano Beach do not get reported to 911. That means that 132 gunfire incidents over the last 7 months would have never gotten a police response were it not for ShotSpotter. During that time period, those 7 months, we had 0 false positives, 9 false negatives, 5 missed incidents, 0 missed locates. So our overall performance over the last 7 months has been 92%, which is within our standard level agreement. That's not to say we're satisfied with that. We're going to continue to do better, but I just want to make sure that we put things in context here and not just one incident.
Nice speech. Thank you. I agree with Commissioner Moss. Nice speech. Now, let me get back to what I was discussing. So you had 16 sensors in the area. Only 2 of them picked it up. That means you had 14 sensors in that area that have power issues. Would that be accurate?
Not necessarily. So
Explain it to. Explain. I mean, I'm not a tech guy,
yeah,
so.
no, it's about sound propagation. So the sound of the incident has to go far enough for the sensors to pick it up, and there can be a number of issues that can impact how far that sound travels. It can be geographical issues. It can be how close the incident took place. So if a victim is shot at very close range, that may impact how far the sound propagates. So there's a number of factors that can go into play as to whether those sensors pick up. Also, a lot of ambient noise, depending on the amount of ambient noise that may mask that sound.
Well, then why is it important that we know that we have 16 sensors in that area if you're telling me, well, there's a lot of reasons why they won't pick it up? So it's, in other words, the 16 sensors in the area is immaterial to what we're talking about, it sounds like. And yet that's a stat that you threw out.
Bottom line, only 2 of those sensors actually picked up the incident.
How many of the sensors have these power problems?
I don't have the exact number of how many of those have power issue.
Has the power issue been established as the cause of any of the other missed incidents? Has it been looked at?
We're looking at it. So whenever the power issue is definitely affecting the ability of our system to detect. So if a sensor goes down, it's a contributing factor to that. It may contribute to poor audio quality. So if we have a down sensor near an incident and we don't have clear audio quality, that may negatively impact our ability to accurately detect an incident.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Seaton.
So I have a few questions as well. So, I mean, if we're stuck on the 16 sensors within, you said 1,200 feet or 1,200 meters?
1,200 meters, and those were functioning sensors. So the ones that I quoted were functioning sensors, so they were not down. Those are the ones that were actually functioning.
Okay, so is there a difference in how a shot might be detected depending on where it is? If it is inside a house, or as opposed to being outdoor, will that impact the difference and the ability to even pick it up?
Yes. Yeah, so we detect outdoor gunfire, but we detect outdoor gunfire, but to your point, there can be a host of factors that can impact that ability. So if a gun is fired from within a vehicle, that's going to impede the sound from going out and hitting enough sensors to provide good audio quality for the system to be able to calculate the location of where the incident occurred. If it's a shot that's done in close proximity, that sound could be absorbed by the body and also impact the ability to detect that incident.
Okay. How often do you test these sensors to know that they're working and in good condition? I mean, is that something that you do?
We monitor the health of the sensor array 24/7. It's constantly being monitored.
But you had some that weren't working?
Yes. And so our approach to when we build a sensor array, we over-engineer, overbuild a sensor array, anticipating that at any point in time, some sensors may be down.
Okay. And, okay, so you've pinpointed areas and you're sort of loading those areas up with the sensor. And I assume like it's here in Pompano, you're not going to disclose where it is, but I'm sure you're looking at data that would indicate where incidents frequently occur. So you would be, most likely, that's where you would want them. But if it were, somewhere outside that zone, if you will, then you're not likely, if it's too far away, you're not likely to pick up the gunfire.
If it's outside the coverage area, we're not going to pick it up. We do have a buffer around the zone where we do detect gunfire. We just don't guarantee our accuracy rate outside of those.
Okay, and so why not have a way to make an alert, even though your systems, your AI is getting together and saying no? Why not do an alert like this came up, our system said no, but why not still transmit that anyway and let it be known that our system didn't believe this was a shot, but there was something that was recorded at X, Y, and Z, et cetera?
It's a great question. So we always are trying to balance not overburdening the police department with what we would call false alerts. So we're trying to be as accurate as we can and not send too many what we call false positives, sending officers to incidents where it's actually not a gunfire.
Right,
We do that
but
too
I mean,
Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, they could be known, this may be a false positive, depending on time, personnel, location, maybe they're there around the time. But to know that it is a false positive and that perhaps, they could, depending on what they're doing at the time, they could look into it or not.
Well, we detect thousands of loud, impulsive sounds. Vast majority of those are filtered out. If we were to alert law enforcement to every one of those incidents, they would be overburdened.
Yeah. So everybody else is making a speech. I'm going to make a speech too. So this is difficult, and I'm sort of torn between if it saves a life or not just one, maybe multiple lives. I have to sort of favor the use of the technology, and as we know, we want to make our city as safe as possible, so I feel like I have to err on the side of, if this is life-saving, that's where I land.
Very good.
Thank you.
Further commission discussion? Commissioner Fournier.
Thank you. How many total sensors are in Pompano?
I don't know the exact number. Typically, we're deploying about 25 sensors per square mile. So with 5 square miles of coverage here,
125.
probably somewhere 125 to 150 sensors.
So have you checked all of the sensors in our city to determine if they have issues, whether it's power issues or any other kind of issues?
Yes, our field team monitors the health of those sensors 24/7.
Have you identified any other issues with the 125 or so sensors in our city?
Other than
the power issues that you alluded to here, are there any other issues?
Primary issue has been the power problem. Occasionally, we have sensors that go offline, and so we would send a team to repair and replace those sensors. But again, we overbuild the number of sensors that we really need, anticipating that at any point in time, some sensors may go down.
I'm torn on this one. I'm uncomfortable with the technology and the product at this point, and I don't have a ton of confidence in it right now. It feels a little bit like we're the guinea pig here, but we're paying you $340,000 a year to test it out. But at the same time, if I have heard from BSO that it has been, and their descriptions of how it has been helpful to them at times, it comes down to what I think Commissioner Moss says, which is, we can add deputies, or we can have this system, and this is primarily not in my district. This is I look at Commissioner Perkins and Commissioner Moss because this is your neighborhoods. They're a small part of mine, but it is your neighborhoods. So if we redeployed this money and hired 2 deputies, is that how do you feel about that?
Well, the question I have is, how long will it take you to put all of your power issues in place and working throughout the entire city? And how long would it also take you to correct what you call the classifier?
I'll address the question. We've got a field team that is being deployed as we speak. I would anticipate that we should be able to fix or repair any out-of-service sensors within the next 2 to 3 weeks. In some cases, we may need to relocate sensors, and we may need to seek permissions to get those, so that may take a little bit longer. But again, I want to reemphasize the vast majority of the sensors are currently working. In terms of the classifiers, we're constantly working on improving those classifiers. We're never going to be 100% accurate. It's a science, but it's not there's so many various factors at play that can impact as I explained, the sound propagation and so forth. We're going to occasionally miss some incidents. But as I pointed out, our performance overall over the last 7 months has been at 92%.
I'd like to add that I've been with Sound Thinking for about 7.5, almost 8 years, and I only know of about 4 incidents where the classifier did not send actual gunfire events to the Incident Review Center. This is an outlier. It is an anomaly. It is not something that is an ongoing problem. We have had situations in the past where we had to make adjustments to our algorithms related to causing duplicate gunfire incidents, and we fix that through software adjustments. But from my experience as a knowledgeable customer success director, not an engineer, I will tell you that this is an outlier. It is an anomaly.
Okay.
Commissioner Perkins,
Yeah,
you had a question?
I'm still, based on the crime that's in my district, I'm still willing to take a chance on this. I know it's a lot of money, but we have so many tools that we've given BSO to work with, including the real-time camera. No one manages that camera 24 hours a day. It's just, I think I was told the person leaves every night at 10 o'clock, which all night, no one is manning it, but we're paying for it. So there are a lot of things that we're paying for in the city as far as a tool for BSO that are just as important as this. And I'm willing to take a chance if this will save one life. I'm hoping and praying you can put some things in place right away. So, because I know just people just do not call in my community. They just do not call if they hear a gunshot. Well, we don't know the difference. I don't know the difference between a gunfire or a firecracker. So I don't know how to distinguish it, but you don't know whether to call or not because you're not sure which one you're hearing. But I'm willing still to give this a chance if it will save one life. And you did miss it, like I said, with the young boy, the 16-year-old, but I'd like to see you get your power issues in place, up and running ASAP, because this is critical. There is a lot of shooting in my district. So, like I said, I don't know how to distinguish the firecracker from the guns. So if you don't know that, you wouldn't call. you would think, well, it's probably a firecracker and you don't call. So if it'll save one life, I think it's worth challenging. And I think, as we said in the last meeting, that we can cancel this this sound thinking at any time. So I would like for you all to come back to us and let us know when you have everything in place, up and running. I would like that, so that we'll know that this won't happen again. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, come on, I've got Commissioner Fournier actually has the floor. She was asking questions of.
Yes, me.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah.
That's okay, that's all right. She asked the
was.
question, so.
Yeah, she did. I'm sorry.
She also asked Commissioner Moss.
Right, and I'd like to say that, if it saved one life, yes, but in this instance, it didn't save a life. And also keep in mind that the substation in Collier City is under construction, and hopefully within the next year, it will be staffed. And even though it's not in District 4, it's not far from District 4. It's a matter of blocks from District 4. So, I have to rely on what the police department tells me, and they say boots on the ground are more useful to them than this electronic equipment. And a few more police officers stationed at the Collier City substation, I think would be, is a better deterrent. As far as the power is concerned, the power is not in the hands of this company. The power is in the hands of FP&L, and it goes out, and there's nothing that they or us can do about it. We are subject to wind and rain and hurricanes and just birds sitting on wires, I guess. But the electric part is not something that they can correct. That's a function of the power company. So, again, I have to defer to what our police department tells us, and I just think that money is better spent with people on the ground. And keep in mind that the substation will be open soon, and hopefully we'll start having a much greater effect on crime in Districts 5 and 4 once that takes place. Thanks.
Very good. Commissioner Fournier, you still have the floor.
Thank you. It's interesting, the different perspectives, but I, at this point, have lost confidence. I had said that I would take a year. Like I said, it took 2 weeks. But at the same time, I have serious concerns about if people calling, not calling, and the ability of this to potentially save a life. So I don't know that my time horizon's a year anymore. I don't think we should be paying for this right now. So I don't know if the city manager can go back and renegotiate some of this in the short term. But I don't think we should be paying for a system that you're sitting here telling us we know doesn't work. So I guess that's on the city manager to go do, depending on what happens here. But I'm going to be, if this passes, I'm going to be asking you every time there's a shooting. I want an answer and I want a report, and it might not be a 1-year time horizon in my view. So if the confidence stays where it's at and does not increase, then I will be sitting up here in a month or two saying we need to cancel this contract. So that's where I'm at.
Very good. I'm sorry, I'm circling back here, but so you had 2 sensors that actually caught this incident that we've been discussing. Is that correct? Yes. But during your original presentation this evening, you were talking about it takes 3 sensors to triangulate that location.
That is correct.
And then it goes up to the classifier. Did the classifier receive this and screw up, or did it not even go to the classifier?
So the classifier actually received it. So the classifier got the data. As far as it actually being sent on to the Incident Review Center, it was not.
Would that be as a result of not having a location?
No, it was as a result of not having. I can't tell you the reason why the classifier didn't send it. I don't have that answer. And this is just, I don't have the answer on why it didn't. There will be times where we just don't have an answer, and this is one of them. I don't have an answer.
Yeah, that's.
It's physics. There are times when we will be able to give you an answer, and there are times when we won't. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you. This is a very challenging situation. This was something that You know, we had some serious conversations, internal conversations related to this. There was a great deal of frustration. This is the only area that I experience stress in my job, when we miss a gunfire event. After working 34 years in law enforcement, being an assistant chief of police, I was under tremendous stress. I'm under stress when we miss a gunfire event. I don't like it. We have conversations. We do everything we can do to mitigate it, and that's the path that we're taking right now.
Sure, and I understand you're under stress when something like that happens. That's your job, and I appreciate that. But yeah, you did indicate it's a one-off, but it's really curious. If it takes 3 sensors to make something happen, and there are only 2 that worked, then obviously perhaps the classifier just shut down and said, well, forget it. I have no location to move on to the human personnel, so I'm not sending it anywhere. But now, I think it was Mr. Daly. I believe you said you monitor the system 24/7.
Yes.
So if you monitor the system 24/7, how long have these power issues existed out there?
So my understanding is it's been an intermittent problem. So the power comes on, the power goes off.
That didn't answer my question at all.
Yeah. So I guess the answer is I don't know. I don't have the answer for
So you don't know how long you've had a power issue out there, even though you and your system monitor the system 24/7. You can't tell us how long there's been a problem there.
We can get the information we can get the information on the time frame on the power aspect of it. And when you made mention of it being a Florida power and light issue, not all of our sensors are on poles. Some of our sensors are on poles, some are on buildings. The ones that are having the issues are the ones that are on poles. So, like you're at a location, a park where you have lights out or whatever.
No, sir, sir, I mean, I appreciate you speaking about that. I don't care. I don't care. But my point is that we've had power issues with multiple sensors for some period of time, which we can't even narrow down what the period of time is at this point in time. I mean, you guys knew this was coming up tonight. You guys knew this incident took place. I would have thought you would have had this nailed down, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, and now, okay, you've got a tech team which is on the way, ought to be here, I don't know, in a few days, and maybe it'll take a few weeks to get things fixed. If you've known you've had power issues, intermittent or not, that's your system is falling apart then. I'm surprised you have let it get to this point. I mean, you're sitting here telling us this. It's like, well, yeah, we've had problems, but we haven't fixed it, but we're going to do better. I mean, that's what I'm hearing. I'm being honest with you, and I'm sorry about that, but that's what I'm hearing. This is not your best night, I have to admit.
Mayor? Can I make a motion we table this? I need more answers.
I'll give you the floor back in a moment. But yeah, I'm really surprised that there are these kind of failures as part of your system, and you're sitting here telling us, yep, 24/7. They're monitored 24/7. That by God, if one was out 6 weeks ago, why wasn't a team dispatched then? Or is it because, well, it's probably not going to amount to anything. We need more of a critical mass, more things broken down before we really spend some money and send some people out to fix something. It's, yeah.
It's a very fair assessment. We should have been on top of this sooner. But again, I want to reiterate, overall, the system has been working. We've been operating at 92% over the last 7 months.
And I hear you, but that means 8% has been missed. And you can look at, when it's my residents, 8%, we're talking about gunfire, 8% is a lot.
I understand.
Very good. I'm finished. Further commission discussion. Commissioner Fournier.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we table this until our next meeting so we can all get some more answers about what actually happened here and what you're going to do to make the system work. Since I need you to prove that to me, because tonight my answer is no.
I'll second. I'll second.
There's been a motion to table until, what, September 10th?
September 10th.
Until September 10th. Moved to table till September 10th, seconded by Commissioner Perkins.
You said postpone?
Yeah, well,
Yes,
postpone,
okay.
postpone, yes. Postpone until September 10th. Discussion on the motion. Vice Mayor.
Yes, if we are going to do that for reports, which I think is a great step, I'd like to know, when you say, like, and these questions don't need to be answered now, but when you guys present later, when you say we've been operating at 92%, what 92% of what? 92% of the power being on, 92% of shots being labeled accurately? I need more than just a 92%.
Sure. 92% accuracy rate.
Okay. And I think we discussed this at the last meeting, how difficult that is to gauge when it's missed ones. So just if you could flesh out more of that stuff, as well as, and I've said this before, to me it does feel like we're kind of at, beta level of this technology and paying a lot for it. It did bother me that in the contract we're paying for time that has passed, and I'd like to see if the city manager's office and your company could come to some sort of agreement for accounting for these sensors that are not up to snuff, are not working at the percentage level that I think we all expect them to function at, and just discuss it all. So I think the tabling is a great idea to come back with more information and more thought process behind the whole thing.
Very good. Further commission discussion? Let's call the roll. On the motion to postpone.
Okay. Commissioner Fournier?
Yes.
Commissioner Moss?
No.
Commissioner Perkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Segerson Eaton?
No.
Vice Mayor McGee?
Yes.
Mayor Harden?
Yes. Very good. Item 19 is let's see, it's the second reading of an ordinance.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, approving and authorizing the proper city officials to execute a service contract between the City of Pompano Beach and Redevelopment Management Associates, LLC, for professional consulting services, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. Once again, Ms. Sybil.
Thank you, Mayor. There are no changes from first reading, and I have no additional comments. Thank you.
Very good. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Could I ask the folks in the back table to please take their conversations out in the lobby? Thank you. Please come forward. Public input. Just not private conversations.
Michael Skaversky, 1630 Southwest 5th Avenue, Pompano Beach. I've been up here before with these characters. It's a total waste of time. We're just throwing money out the window. But we got 4 puppets up here, excluding Allison Fournier and Beverly Perkins. They are the non-puppets. The other 4 puppets just go like this. Yes, 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 yes. When it comes to raising taxes, yes, yes, yes. Fournier's and Perkins are no. So the rest of the group up here, they just like to throw money out the window for consultants that we don't know what the heck they're even doing. We don't know a thing of what they're doing, and once this is approved, I can look on the financials and see for people from RMA handing money out in campaign donations like it's candy, because that's what they're doing here. We're basically handing them candy. It is a gigantic waste. And then when it comes to raising taxes, this is one of the reasons. It's a joke.
Further commission discussion?
Good evening, Pompano Commission. I'm Pam Hightower, 3017 Northwest 2nd Street, Pompano Beach, 33069. Yes, I do agree with Mike. This is a gross amount of money that's being thrown at. I'm really tired of the City Commission not taking in effect my district that I live in and putting enough money back into that district. I have many variations of it, but one of them just actually took me off. I purchased this game a couple of weeks ago. It says Pompano Beach Opoly. I actually opened up the board to look and see what was represented as Pompano. None of us.
Ma'am, we can't hear you.
District is represented. This is how we feel, Mr. Harden, every single day of our life. We are always forgotten. You're giving consulting money to someone. When I reported the store that's selling bad food, and they had an inspection, surprise inspection on Friday. 197 violations. Rodents in the grease, rodents in the food, shelves are dirty, ice machines moldy, everything. This has been going on for years. So before you spend your money on a consulting, spend money on people that have paid their tax dollars to keep their city. It's not fair to us. It's not fair we have to live like this. It's not fair that we have to be exposed to things like this when you have ample enough money that you can put aside for frivolous projects instead of real projects. Take us into consideration once. That's all we're asking. We want our piece of the pie. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Next speaker. Further public input? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion, questions, concerns? Seeing none, let's go ahead and call the roll.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Commissioner.
Mayor.
Commissioner
I'm sorry, I
Perkins?
was talking. So RMA, we're going to pay them $359,000 for the next 3 years, and that is from the city. And CRA is going to pay them $398,000 a year. A year for the next 3 years. So for the next 3 years, they will be making approximately $758,000. That's almost $1 million, and that's not even including anything that the city or CRA is requesting that they do outside of the contract. So I just wanted to bring that to the attention because I've never seen any kind of report of anything, what they do as far as their services. I've never seen anything. They're, throughout the year, paying this kind of money, we should be receiving something every 3 to 4 months based on what they're doing as consulting, because we don't see it but maybe once a year. They'll release something when it's time for the contract to be renewed. So if I miss something, just let me know, Mayor. Thank you.
Very good. Further commission discussion? Seeing none, let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier,
No.
Commissioner Moss,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins,
No.
Commissioner Segerson Eaton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee,
Yes.
Mayor Harden.
Yes. Item 20 is a second reading of an ordinance.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, providing for the adoption of the amendments to the Pompano Beach Comprehensive Plan based upon the evaluation and appraisal report letter, which addresses the newly required 10 and 20-year planning horizons, authorizing the transmittal of the comprehensive plan amendments, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
So moved?
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. Good evening, Ms. Dolan.
Good evening, Mayor, Commission, Jean Dolan, Development Services. On April 23, 2024, the Commission approved the proposed evaluation and appraisal report-based amendments to the comprehensive plan, which addressed the changes made to the Florida statutes since the comprehensive plan was adopted in 2020. The only pertinent state regulation changed the required planning horizons from a 5 and 20-year period to a 10 and 20-year period per Senate Bill 1604 passed in 2023. Only 2 amendments were necessary to address this change in the length of the near-term planning horizon, and only one of those was in an actual policy. After the Commission's approval on first reading, the amendments were reviewed by all of the required state agencies and the Department of Florida Commerce, which was previously Department of Economic Opportunity, and was unanimously approved for adoption. Staff recommends approval of these ear-based amendments, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Very good. Thank you for that. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion, questions, concerns? Seeing none, let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Moss,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Segerson Eaton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee,
Yes.
Mayor Harden.
Yes. Item 21 is a second reading of an ordinance.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 152 Buildings of the Pompano Beach Code of Ordinances by amending Section 152.20 General to specify the section specific to floodplain regulations, by amending Section 152.21 Definitions to modify and delete definitions, by amending Section 152 152.22 applicability to add the July 31st, 2024 effective date of the flood insurance study by amending Section 152.23 duties and powers of the floodplain administrator to remove references to watercourse, by amending Section 152.25 site plan and construction documents to remove references to floodways and watercourse and add stormwater management plan requirements for single-family and duplex lots, by amending Section 152.27 variances and appeals to specify the applicability to floodplain regulations, by amending Section 152.31 site improvements, utilities and limitations to create performance standards for stormwater retention for single-family and duplex lots, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. Once again, Ms. Dolan.
Thank you, Mayor. Jean Dolan, Development Services. This is the second reading of our amendments to Chapter 152 to incorporate the July 31st, 2024 date of the new FEMA maps and to add the 1-inch retention requirements for single-family and duplex properties developed using fill. There have been no changes since first reading, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Very good. Thank you for that. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion? Seeing none, let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Moss,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Seegerson-Eaton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee,
Yes.
Mayor Harden.
Yes. Item 22 is a second reading of an ordinance.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 155 zoning code by amending Section 155.4501 separation requirements for alcohol beverage establishments to exempt such requirements in the downtown Pompano overlay district, the DPOD, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Once again, Ms. Dolan.
Thank you, Mayor, Commission. Jean Dolan, this is the second reading of our amendment to exempt properties in the downtown Pompano overlay district from the alcohol separation requirements. There have been no changes since first reading, and I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Very good. Thank you for that. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion. Seeing none, let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Moss,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Seegerson-Eaton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee,
Yes.
Mayor Harden.
Yes. Item 23 is the first reading of an ordinance.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, amending the Live Resorts Pompano PD plan as permitted by Section 155.2405, Plan Development of the City of Pompano Beach Code of Ordinances to update applicable legal descriptions and to amend the PCD use tables to provide 2 additional light industrial uses within the zoning district, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded for discussion. Good evening, Mr. Weems.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. I'm Max Weems, Principal Planner and Development Services. The City Commission approved Ordinance 2019-107, establishing the Live Resorts Pompano PCD in September of 2019, and later approved a PCD amendment in Ordinance 2021-02 to allow for industrial uses primarily focused on warehousing, distribution, and storage. The master developer is now proposing to amend the permitted use list outlined in Exhibit Q of the PCD master plan to allow 2 additional light manufacturing uses titled electric motor repair and light manufacturing, assembly, or fabrication. Provided within the backup is the entirety of the Live Resorts PCD, the amended legal description, and the amended permitted uses table for the PCD master plan. The Planning and Zoning Board recommended approval of these 2 new uses on June 26, 2024 meeting, and the applicant is available for a more detailed and complete presentation. That concludes my remarks. I'll be available for questions.
Very good. Thank you for that. Does the applicant wish to make a presentation?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the Commission. My name is Jana Loda. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Holland & Knight with offices at 515 East Las Olas, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm here tonight on behalf of the owner-developer of the Live Resorts Pompano PCD, also known as the POMP. Also with me is Corey Long, who's here from the owner development team, as well as Steve Tilbrook, who's with Ackerman, and who represents Rock Point, the industrial park developer. We're before you this evening seeking your approval of our application for rezoning of the Live Resorts Pompano PCD to add in 2 additional light industrial uses, as Mr. Weems indicated. Although the application is technically titled a rezoning, The applicant only seeks to update Exhibit Q to the PCD documents to allow the 2 industrial uses that are currently not allowed. Before I get into the meat of the application, I just want to walk you through, for those up on the dais as well as those in the audience and who may be watching online, a little bit about what's happened at the PCD since it was approved. Again, the PCD was originally approved in 2019 with the industrial use introduced in 2020. Using this kind of master plan, I'll start, as you know, with the casino, which kind of anchors the PCD. Since 2020, the parking garage structure has been constructed to the east, as well as the smoking terrace, the casino expansion, as well as the deck enclosure that's currently under construction right now on the south side of the casino. The lake to the south of the casino is fully constructed and installed. Moving to the southwest, you'll see the Indigo Residential Project. That has site plan approval and is currently in permitting. That's for 423 new residential units. Continuing to the north, you have the live venue as well as the northwest retail, grocer-anchored retail has both been approved by site plan and is in permitting. And of course, the Topgolf is now open, and hopefully everyone's had an opportunity to visit that exciting commercial recreation use. With respect to the internal infrastructure, the loop road that will go along the west side of the industrial pod is currently under construction, as well as the main street that kind of bisects the PCD to the west. Off-site, you are likely seeing a lot of improvements going on within racetrack as well as power line roads. A lot of work going on there. And then last but not least, and the reason we're here before you tonight, the industrial parcel that runs along the east side of the PCD does have site plan approval. I believe if they're not done, they're very close to being done with permitting and very, very close to breaking ground on that project. So before you tonight, as staff indicated, we are seeking to add 2 additional light industrial uses back into the PCD. As you may recall, in 2020, when the industrial use was introduced, there was a single user, largely warehouse distribution tenant that was proposed. And at that time, because of that use, a lot of the uses that are traditionally allowed in an industrial zoned property were struck from the PCD. What we're asking tonight is just to add back in 2 additional light industrial uses, which will be contained wholly within the buildings that are approved on the site, to give the industrial park developer additional tools to be truly competitive in this marketplace. These 2 uses are up on the screen before you, on your screens. That includes the manufacturing, fabrication, or assembly light use, which has as a subcategory the advanced machinery and technology repairs, services, and assembly, which would allow in an enclosed, that's key, an orderly space for the repair, service, and assembly of advanced machinery and technology, including but not limited to jet engines, aerospace components, hybrid and electric motors, advanced medical equipment, and advanced electronics. As a subset, just to avoid any confusion, because some of the high technology that we are looking to deploy as tenants there would have as a component electric motor repair, like MRI machines, CT machines, so we also are seeking to add that back in. Just to clarify, because I know this was a discussion point at the P&Z, although it does say jet engines, this is not firing up a jet engine like you would see on a tarmac. This is really the assembly or repair of the component parts of a jet engine. I just wanted to make that clear before I moved further. And just to help punctuate the fact that this PCD has a host of uses that are not allowed within the industrial district, the way the uses for the PCD are listed in the development order is the city basically attached the consolidated use table that's in the land development code, and then went through and struck any use that was not going to be allowed within the PCD. This is one of the pages that we're seeking to update to add the electric motor repair. You can see here all the uses that are struck in red and that will continue to be prohibited. And here's the other sheet to add back in, again, that manufacturing, assembly, or fabrication light. And again, all the rest of the uses you see are still struck and prohibited that would otherwise be allowed in the industrial district. And to my point, these are all uses that now and will continue to be prohibited within the PCD that are otherwise allowed in the industrial districts here in the city. All of them outdoor storage uses, some of them heavier industrial uses that can take place inside a building, again, would continue to be prohibited within the PCD. And why are we asking for this? The industrial park developer went and commissioned, and understand they are close to breaking ground, and so they know when these buildings are likely going to be constructed, and have already done a survey of what are some of the prospective tenants, employers here in Southeast Florida that would be looking for space around the time that they're ready to CO their building. Whether it be to consolidate their space or that their leases are close to being up in their other locations and may be looking for another spot. Presently, as the PCD is written, they do not have the tools necessary to attract or even go and solicit these employers to the industrial park. One example is Man Engines. I know this information was included in your backup, which includes more detailed information. I know it's hard to read on the screen, but as you can see, almost across the board, the jobs that they can provide are higher than the average warehouse wage here in Pompano Beach and in the state. It is a good, local, strong employer that we would like to have the opportunity to attract to the industrial park. Another example, Allegheny Technologies. They produce special materials for aerospace, defense, energy, and in the medical sectors, and provide jobs with wages, again, in excess of the average in the state and the city. And then just another example, Boeing Distribution Services. As you all know, aerospace is a growing economy here in Southeast Florida, and the industrial park would like to be able to leverage that to bring in that kind of high-tech, light industrial use to the park. I'll conclude by saying that I hope that these case studies help to illustrate why we're standing before you this evening. We're simply asking to add back into the PCD the tools necessary to allow the industrial park to be competitive in the market and to attract those tenants that you typically would see in a high-end, high-tech industrial park. Tenants that will hire skilled employees with higher-paying jobs. Before I conclude, I'd like to emphasize just a few items. First and foremost, the approval of this request changes nothing else in the PCD, meaning any conditions or requirements in that PCD document remain unchanged. For example, with respect to the industrial project, and this is something, again, that was brought up at P&Z, all truck traffic is still proposed to come in east off of Racetrack Road into the PCD and back out. All of the buffers that are being proposed, including the taller trees along the loop road, as well as the significant buffer on the south side of the industrial with the higher wall, remains the same. Essentially, anything that was required by the PCD-DO remains unchanged. All this will do is help the industrial park to have the tools to be competitive and attract the types of tenants, high-end jobs that we want for the city of Pompano. Regarding the criteria for approval of a rezoning request, the staff did an excellent job in their staff report, pointing out that the criteria for rezoning was met with this application, so I'll refer to that and incorporate it into my presentation. And with that, that concludes my presentation. We have, of course, the members of our team as well as the representative from Rock Point. We stand ready to answer any questions that you have, and we just ask for your favorable approval on first reading. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Exciting times. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Please come forward. Just name and address for the record.
Vincente through Pompano Beach. Mayor, I'm gonna ask the same thing I asked the last time. Okay, I hear all this technology stuff and here and there and everywhere. What are our insurances? What assurances do we have when we go through these processes of any of this stuff staying at Pompano Beach and high in Pompano Beach? To the mayor, can you ask the applicant? Because the applicant is asking for something of you all again. What do we get of insurances? What guarantees do we get every time you all give a vote? All I ever see, you all gonna make a change tonight to help this development project. No shade on them, but how do we determine and how do we measure to make sure that they give what they say it will happen? They say high-paying jobs. How will we be able to measure that to the mayor?
Well, Mr. Thrower, of course, I mean, these are the types of industries they're trying to attract. There's no guarantee.
That's not what she said, Mayor. She said that they are talking to somebody. How do we facilitate and understand?
Mr. Thrower, I mean, you know as well as I do that talking to somebody is not the same as having a signed lease and guarantee of jobs from that particular employer. But they're not going to build this industrial area without trying to attract someone to operate out of there, and that will produce the jobs.
Mayor, I'm going to say this again. This body, as our elected official, has a fiduciary, those used to be your words back in the days when you sat over there, have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that you ask, when you all are talking to these people behind closed doors, what is the benefit and how do we measure that benefit? Now, we have seen some of the activities, and I give the developer, Quarters, some credit on how they do some things, and they are hiring some local people. But how do we make sure we measure this? Other cities measure these things, and we seem to have a problem that this body don't like to ask for measurements of our staff. They here asking tonight for something else. Did we ask for a fire truck? I get sick of hearing us listening to the city attorney. Sometimes I turn to the city attorney and say, what can we ask for? We got a fire department that need a new truck. Why are we always footing the bill? Understand? I don't understand why we don't never ask anything. No infrastructure, no nothing. You all sit here and act like it's just a job to approve everything. And then when we get opponents and we can't get other people elected, to me, we should ask. There's no law that says you cannot ask, because the burden lies on our taxpayers when you all don't ask for nothing. It lies on Pompano when them trucks have to come through your neighborhood. It lies on you all. So, Mayor, I'm going to say it to you again. When do you take your glasses off like you did when you was a commissioner and ask for something? Because I'm curious to find out, how do we make sure that they hire Pompano Beach people? I'm curious how they show that to you all so that you can then tell it to us. That's the complaint that we continue to come here about. And that's why RMA gets beat down, because y'all won't even make an effort to ask these important questions. So to the mayor, can we at least ask that they talk to us, you all, and convey that we want to make sure that they hire local people. Rocker Point, whatever you call this rock company, are they hiring local people, Mayor? Do we even know that? Can you ask that as our mayor?
Absolutely.
Mayor, I'm just saying that the echo is always from this neighborhood, just accountability on what is happening when people come and ask you all for your vote. That's every last one of y'all. For your vote. We just want to know answers.
Yes,
Oh, thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. But hey, back in the day, we picked beans. We gave accountability for that. Them pile of beans had to be weighed. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Seeing none, public input closed. Commissioner Segerson-Eaton.
Yes, thank you. I want to see if I understand what the speaker was expecting us to ask for something. Are we like saying, if you want your zoning changed, then you got to give us something? Is that quid pro quo? Okay, all right. But I tell you what this does bring to us is brings us tax revenue, big tax revenue from businesses that are successful. It brings job. I don't know, I'm not qualified to fix jet engines or anything like that, but I know some people are. And if you want to learn how to do that, you can go get some training and you could get perhaps get a job. So that brings us tax dollars that offset all those other costs. So I'm not just sitting, it's not my job just to come up here and say yes, and I think it was very insulting. And no, we don't ask, what do you expect us to ask for? I'm not quite getting it. Not that I really want to get into discussion, please, I don't intend to do that. I'm not going to take up the rest of the commission because we're not having a coffee clutch here. But no, what do we do? We work within the law. We're not going to say, oh, well, give us this, give us that. That's not our job. They give back a lot.
Very good.
Almost, thank you.
Further commission discussion.
Mayor, I'm not here to rebuttal.
Mr. Thrower,
Mayor, all due respect, she just insulted me on television.
Mr. Thrower,
Sir,
Mr. Thrower,
she
the
insulted
public
me on
input is
television.
closed. Mr. Thrower, please. Mr. Thrower, please. Public input is closed, sir.
Okay, you know what time it is with me.
Thank you. Further commission discussion. Commissioner Fournier.
Thank you, Mayor. Do you plan to use local contractors or subcontractors in construction and design construction? I guess the design's done, but the construction of the industrial park here?
Hi, Corey Long, representing the Cordish Company, 601 East Pratt Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21202. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commission. It's good to be back in front of you again. I would leave it to the developer to indicate on local use. What we have made a practice of on that site is first and foremost having an open door policy for anybody in the city via the connections and the tight network that's within the city to reach out to us with recommendations for contractors. We get calls for potential lessees from local businesses. We have an open door policy for any of that. As some of the development and vertical development occurs, there will be outreach sessions for that property. For some of the development components, we can't commit to every single one with multiple developers, but we certainly, for the work that Cordish manages, make that effort. And we do have local folks working on the project. We've got local engineers, local subcontractors, some contractors, so I think we are pretty well represented on the site.
Identify yourself.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Steve Tilbrook with Ackerman, representing the industrial developer. We have the same plan for outreach and hiring. We have hired Keith and Associates as our engineer to facilitate the permitting. We will have contractor with local contracts and local subcontractors, and we will have public outreach to encourage and seek local workers.
Thank you. With respect to what these changes enable, I fully support this. I recently toured Man Energy and saw their operations here in Pompano. I've worked for Boeing. So these are the type of jobs and industries that we want to attract. These are high-paying jobs. These are quality jobs and quality companies. So I support this. Thank you.
Commissioner Moss.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I'm very much in favor of this. You know, I've, of course, been very close to all of this since the day one. And I can tell you that as far as my constituents are concerned, they're very much in favor of it too. Because what we initially had presented, or what was initially thought that this area would be a distribution warehouse, which involves, hundreds of trucks coming back and forth 24 hours a day, and that upset the neighborhood quite a bit. So this is something that's going to be much kinder and gentler to the neighborhood. You'll have people coming in the morning to go to work and hopefully going home at night. It will be something that, as Commissioner Fournier said, provides high-paying jobs, and it's very good for the neighborhood. And I have heard very, very little opposition to this. When I explain to my constituents what it is that they're hoping will happen, the kinds of people they're wanting to attract, almost everybody is very much in favor of it. I would also like to thank Cordish and the Cordish team for the consideration that they have given to the concerns of Cypress Bend. Even during that period of time when I was not on the commission, I watched very closely what was going on. They have bent over backwards. They've done everything they've been asked to do. They've increased buffers. They've put in better trees, taller trees. They've really gone the mile, probably much more than most developers would. And so I think, by and large, well, you're never going to make everyone happy, but the Cypress Bend community is going to be a quieter place with this industrial development than it was when the racetrack was there, when 5,000-watt bulbs were shining into people's windows, when the announcers were going on until 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. This is going to really be an enhancement for the quality of life in Cypress Bend. So I'm very much in favor of it. I thank them for bringing this to us. It's going to be something that, as Commissioner Segerson-Eaton said, brings millions of tax dollars into the city, provides for jobs, and again, thank them for making sure that the traffic that comes into this complex will be away from Cypress Bend and away from Palmair. They've done everything we've asked them to do, and I don't think that there's much more that we can or should ask of them. So I'm really very enthusiastic about this, and I thank them for all of the things that they have done to make this progress, make this this move forward in a way that is going to benefit the community. Thanks.
Very good. Thank you. Vice Mayor.
Yes. No. As far as bringing jobs into the city, I think this has been great. The one issue I've had, and I know the whole company over here, it's the same thing, and our earlier speakers should probably be clear, because the one thing I've asked for repeatedly ad nauseum is to try and work with Tri-Rail to establish the station at the property. And I was very concerned when I saw the warehouse layout in that there was no pickup location or anything like that. I've spoken with the city management and Mr. Long about it. I actually have a meeting set up with MPO and Tri-Rail on September 18th to try and discuss and get everyone in the room at the same time to figure out whether or not this space works, if it could work. Because again, as your representative kept saying, competitive and attractive, and I agree. That's the whole point of this venture, is to be competitive and attractive for the jobs, for the casino, for the live venture, for everything there. And I think it would be a win-win for both your development and the city and the county and the region to have that place there that workers could come in an alternate route, not using cars as a possibility, as well as people, you know, coming to the casino, coming to live events, coming to restaurants. So I would just like to, I'd requested with the applicant earlier, and as long as it's okay with the rest of the commission as well, Mr. Berman, I don't know if I need a full motion or just a consensus from the applicant, that if this were to pass, to not bring the second reading prior to the September 24th meeting, so we can have the meeting with Tri-Rail and MPO ahead of second reading.
So you're asking Mr. Berman's?
I just don't know if I need to structure this in a different format, or if we can just agree.
So you're requesting the second reading?
If this were to pass tonight, because I don't know how it's going to go, but if it were, that we don't schedule the second meeting any earlier than the 24th, so we can have a full meeting of understanding with Tri-Rail, MPO, city staff, and Cordish.
Okay.
To try and figure out how we can make this happen.
Okay. You've had discussions, I mean, as Ms. Lahota, it's something, as
Jana Loda once again for the applicant. Yes, we're aware of the Vice Mayor's desires. It's always been our intent to continue to work collaboratively with the city. So if that's the preference to move this matter forward, we're happy to accommodate second reading after her meeting in September. But I just want to make it clear that having some sort of an intermodal center within the PCD, the core of the PCD, has always been, I think, part of our plan, and we just, again, want to continue to work together with the city with respect to those items.
okay. Still can't hear a thing. Mr. Berman, did you hear?
Absolutely cannot hear a thing.
Sorry.
The commissioner said either. We were just discussing.
Okay.
Barely hear from the podium. Unfortunately, the sound of the room, I apologize, but
My question is can we just have an agreement to do this, or do I need to put it in the form of a motion to, that if it were to pass, to not have the second reading prior to September 24th, to allow time to have this separate meeting with Tri-Rail, MPO, and staff?
it would be a motion to postpone the second reading to a date certain. That's all it would be. And motion would require a second and approval from the commission.
Would I have to wait for it to pass before doing that, or can I do that
Well,
now?
if it doesn't pass first reading, the motion would be not necessary, so.
Okay, well then, at this time, I'd like to make a motion that any second reading would occur September 24th to allow time for the meeting.
I second.
Okay. Motion's been made to postpone the second hearing, providing it passes on first hearing. Postpone the second hearing to our September 24th meeting at 6 p.m.
Yes.
It's been seconded. Okay. Discussion on the motion. I've got Commissioner Fournier's had her hand up, and then Commissioner Segerson Eden.
Thank you, Mayor.
Motion.
On the motion. So I know we've been talking about Tri-Rail and all this for a while. Is there some reason to believe that that's going to change materially between September 10th and September 24th? And I guess, I know you're having a meeting, but I don't understand the relationship between this item and the Tri-Rail issue. So
The reason for the timing has to do with the executive director of the MPO being out of the country, and that was when Tri-Rail was available. I would believe that one of the huge holdups, it seems to me, is that not everyone has come to the table all at once to discuss the actual logistics if this were to move forward, so that we could then go look for federal or state funding, et cetera, that type of stuff. It's an opportunity to make this happen.
And if I may interject, we understand the Vice Mayor's, desire here to want to hear that information, and we want to be accommodating to that. Understand that we don't believe that any kind of construction requirements regarding the Tri-Rail is necessarily going to be able to be conditioned on our second reading. Again, we maintain we are willing and have had stood ready for the course of this project to continue to work with the city to work on solutions, and we'll continue to do that. But again, we're happy to accommodate, but with the understanding, and I think you, Commissioner Fournier, kind of picked up on it, I don't think that there's going to be, nor do I think legally we can necessarily condition anything on the second reading of the ordinance for the rezoning with respect to a station that's off our property like that.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, I just see this as separate things, and I have confidence that you're going to continue to work towards the right answer with Tri-Rail and get all the parties in the room and have those conversations. But I view that as completely different than what we're talking about here and this item.
And I can see your point on that. For me, a lot of it has been, and from sitting through this project from the beginning, is that it's almost a completely different project than what we started with, and things do tend to change a lot. We have attention in the room right now. It's great to reach out to hear from you guys. I heard from Mr. Long literally like 2 days after I got the meeting scheduled, so it all sort of came together. But really wanted to, I think there's in the past been missed opportunities to, on the record, really discuss putting in a Tri-Rail from both parties, and then especially not to have Tri-Rail in the room as well, which will be happening on the 18th.
Okay.
Mayor.
I've got Commissioner Segerson Eden.
Yeah, and Commissioner Vice Mayor McGee, I just want to say how much I appreciate your determination and your perseverance in pushing forward these types of issues when it was like a done deal. And now there's some life there for keeping it alive and trying and doing what you do at the MPO. It takes skill, it takes intelligence, and it takes good citizenship, and you're all three. So I really want to say that. I want to preface what I'm going to say, but thank you. Thank you so very much for that. You're really a service to the community. I also say, I would also like to talk to Mr. Berman, ask the question, and too bad Vincente's left. Maybe he's listening. We cannot ask someone who's coming in for a development order or zoning change or anything and ask them to give us some sort of benefit. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm not an attorney, Ms. Berman, but that would be something called contract zoning, and that would be illegal. And the reason, if you want to respond, but it feels like, I agree, there's this rezoning, reclassification, it's really nothing to do with whether they did the Tri-Rail.
Yeah, the motion is just to postpone the second reading.
I know.
That's all the motion
Okay,
really is.
well, okay.
There's no conditions.
Well, others have brought it. I know there's no conditions. Okay, you're sure? I mean, but if there were, sort of implies in the sense that there are conditions surrounding the second reading.
No, the motion is just to merely postpone the second reading until the second meeting in September. That's all the motion is.
I know. So
that's all we're dealing with.
Mr. Berman, if you...
I won't make this worse, I promise. In the end, when the decision is made, whether the second reading is in September, when the first meeting or second reading, the decision by this commission needs to be made on the appropriate criteria for the rezoning and nothing else. If there's another reason for requesting the postponement, it still cannot change that fact.
Exactly,
This
and that,
decision
thank you
must be
for,
made strictly upon the criteria for rezoning and nothing else.
correct, and that's what I wanted put on the record. Thank you.
Very good. I've got Commissioner Moss.
Yeah, I want to echo Commissioner Severson-Eaton's compliments toward the Vice Mayor. She's put her heart and soul into representing this city on the MPO. I know that she's highly respected by her colleagues on the MPO. She's been elevated to a higher position, and I think it's only fair that we give the Vice Mayor an opportunity to get everybody involved in one room at one time, so all of this can be hammered out, and we'll have a much better idea as to the feasibility of the station. Of course, as the commissioner from that district, I would love to have the station there, but you're not going to get the answer unless you ask the question. And this is just giving the Vice Mayor the opportunity to get all of the parties together at once in the same room and to talk about it in a very serious way. So I thank you for all that you've done. I know you've been really working very hard on the part of the city. So thank you, and I, of course, support you in this effort.
Very good. Further commission discussion on the motion. Okay, let's go ahead and call the roll on the motion. Just to be clear, the motion is to, if it passes first reading, to delay the second reading until our second meeting in September, September 24th. That's 24th, correct? Yes. September 24th at 6 p.m. So that's the motion.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier,
No.
Commissioner Moss,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins,
No.
Commissioner Segerson-Eaton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee,
Yes.
Mayor Harden.
Yes.
Yes. Very good. Now we're back on the item. I believe you had the floor.
No, I'm good with the item. I think these are great jobs that could be coming in, and I hope people can come and work them by train.
Okay, very good. Further commission discussion on the item. I thank you for coming forward, and I thank you for your consideration to delay the second reading, and even though that's issues passed, thank you for what you're doing, and including the local folks. Is it possible, as a local resident just talked about, is it possible to actually, on an ongoing basis, find out who participates? And I understand you're a private company, and so are the other developers out there, but is it possible to get a report from you guys on a periodic basis about the local folks, local contractors, local engineers that are a part of the process out there as we move forward?
I would say yes in an unofficial manner. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I know it's like I said, you're a private company, and you can't dictate to somebody who comes in and says, "Well, okay, I want to build a warehouse." You can't dictate to them, but I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to, if they've got something to trumpet it, that they're utilizing local folks, because I mean we do. I mean this is about our local community. That's why we're doing this. We understand people have to make money, but we do like to make sure that we get the money spent in Pompano Beach and supporting our folks. So I would make that request just to kind of keep that, and yeah, if we could figure out some way, and I'll leave it up to Ms. Sybil and the city manager's office to figure out some way to, I don't know, in an unofficial manner, formalize it somehow, but we'll figure that out. Very good. Thank you. Any further commission discussion? Let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Moss,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins,
No.
Commissioner Segerson-Eaton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee,
Yes.
Mayor Harden.
Yes. Item 25 is the first reading of an ordinance.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, approving and authorizing the proper city officials to execute an assignment agreement and First Amendment for independent auditing services between the City of Pompano Beach and Citron Cooperman and Company, LLP, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Good evening, Ms. Furtado.
Good evening, Mayor Commissioners. Allison Furtado, Finance Director. The ordinance presented tonight is an assignment of the contract between the City of Pompano Beach and Keith McCullough to Citron Cooperman and Company, LLP, which acquired Keith McCullough on February 1st, 2024. Under the new assignment, all original contract terms will remain the same. This ends the presentation. Thanks.
Very good. Thank you for that. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion. Questions, concerns? Seeing none, let's go ahead and call a roll.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Moss,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Seekerson Eaton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee,
Yes.
Mayor Harden.
Yes, item 26 is a resolution.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, appointing blank to the Nuisance Abatement Board of the City of Pompano Beach to fill the unexpired term of Luis Rivas, said term to expire on February 28, 2027, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second for discussion.
Mayor,
Commissioner Fournier,
I'd like to nominate Brian Smith.
Brian Smith, District 3. Are there any further nominations for this item? Hearing none, nominations closed. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Item 27 is a resolution.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, appointing blank to the Nuisance Abatement Board of the City of Pompano Beach to fill the unexpired term of Tanya Manfredi as alternate number 1, said term to expire on February 28, 2027, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. On this particular item, Kara Driscoll is alternate number 2. And in the past, we have been moving our alternates, even though we can appoint anybody we want to these positions. Oftentimes, we look at our alternates, and alternate 1 perhaps has been serving longer and then gets moved into a regular position. And I'd like to see this item actually stricken, I guess, and brought back so we can look to Kara Driscoll to be moved into alternate 1 and opening up alternate 2 position, so we could fill alternate 2. And also, if it's the will of the commission in the future to have Kervin go ahead and just basically automatically go ahead when alternate 1 is gone, he automatically would put on the agenda, let's move alternate 2 up to alternate 1. Just put that on the consent agenda. That way it just moves him up, and he can bring back then an alternate 2 position if there's somebody who wants to fill that position. If that's the consensus of the commission for him to do that in the future on all things. But on this particular item, I think I'd like to move to strike this and direct that it comes back so we can move Kara Driscoll up to alternate 1.
Second.
Moved and seconded to strike this item. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. And Kerwin, from now on, let's do that as just a matter of course. Just bring back alternate 2 gets moved to alternate 1. Thank you.
Will do.
That takes us up to item 29 as a resolution.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, appointing blank to the Unsafe Structures and Housing Appeals Board of the City of Pompano Beach as attorney for a term of 3 years, said term to expire on September 1st, 2027, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. Commissioner Moss.
I'd like to nominate
Whitney Matavia, very good. Any further nominations for this item? Hearing none, nominations closed. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Item 30 is a resolution.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, appointing blank to the Unsafe Structures and Housing Appeals Board of the City of Pompano Beach as a real estate appraiser for a term of 3 years, said term to expire September 1st, 2027, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. I'll go ahead and nominate Paul Suma, incumbent. Any further nominations for this item? Hearing none, nominations closed. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Item 31 is a resolution.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, appointing blank to the Unsafe Structures and Housing Appeals Board of the City of Pompano Beach as a plumbing contractor for a term of 3 years, said term to expire on October 1st, 2027, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. I'll go ahead and nominate Joe Usman, incumbent. Are there any further nominations for this item? Hearing none, nominations closed. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Item 32 is a resolution.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, appointing blank to the Unsafe Structures and Housing Appeals Board of the City of Pompano Beach as electrical contractor for a term of 3 years, said term to expire on October 1st, 2027, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded for discussion. I'll go ahead and nominate Daniel Cogdill, the incumbent. Are there any further nominations for this item? Hearing none, nominations closed. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Item 33 is a resolution.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, appointing blank as a citizen representative to the Unsafe Structures and Housing Appeals Board of the City of Pompano Beach for a term of 3 years, said term to expire September 24th, 2027, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. I'll go ahead and nominate Marcus McDougall, incumbent. Are there any further nominations? Hearing none, nominations closed. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Any additional audience to be heard? There should not be.
No.
Very good. That takes us up to next scheduled meetings. We have September 10th, 2024 at 1 p.m., regular City Commission meeting. That'll be followed by September 12th, 2024 at 6 p.m. That's a special City Commission EMS Taxing District meeting. Followed by September 19th, 2024 at 6 p.m., special City Commission EMS Taxing District meeting. And then September 24th, 2024 at 6 p.m., regular City Commission meeting. That takes us up to reports. City Manager, Ms. Sybil, filling in for Mr. Harrison.
Thank you, Mayor. No report per se. Just hoping you all will enjoy your time off in the month of August, at least from the commission meetings. And I'll see you in September. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for that. City Attorney, Mr. Berman.
Thank you. No report at this time. Have an enjoyable and safe rest of the summer. Appreciate it.
Very good. Thank you. City Clerk, Mr. Alfred.
No report, and I wish you all a wonderful vacation.
Very good. Thank you for that. Commissioner Fournier.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple quick things. So first, we found out today that with the new travel baseball program we have here in Pompano, the 8U and the 10U Pompano Pokers travel teams are going to be playing at Lone Depot Park next weekend, and that's where the Marlins play. So it's a very exciting opportunity for these kids. I think you can go get a ticket for $25 and sit in the stands. I'd love to see some city representation there, some residents from Pompano, some of my colleagues maybe, but it's going to be very memorable for them and a really cool opportunity for these kids to represent Pompano Beach on the big field at Lone Depot Park. Second, my monthly community meeting is on Thursday at 7 p.m. at the American Legion. Every month they are the fourth Wednesday, but this month it is on Thursday, so don't show up tomorrow. The meeting is Thursday at 7 p.m. at the Legion. We are having a conversation about backyards and setbacks, accessory structures, turf, lots of not controversial topics at all. But it's really just designed to talk to people about, in particular, it's residents who live on the water with the site triangles and the setbacks. So we want to hear from residents and if they want some changes made or what they're thinking about their ability to use their backyards. And then lastly, I just want to say, yeah, we have August off, so well, I hope everyone gets back to school safely, and we'll see you in September. Thank you.
Very good. Commissioner Moss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. During the month of August, there'll be no Saturday morning meetings in Palm Air. So if anyone's listening, don't show up. And secondly, during the month of August, we'll be having an election on August 20th, and I would encourage everyone to pay attention, look at the candidates that are running, and exercise your right and obligation as a citizen to vote on August 20th. That'll do it for me. Thank you.
Very good. Commissioner Perkins.
Thank you, Mayor. Sybil, Ms. Sybil, where is our city manager?
Commissioner Perkins, I believe Shelley sent a memorandum to all of you. He is out of the office, so I'm acting in his absence.
I know, I was sitting here going back over my emails trying to find something. I have nothing.
You're saying you didn't get the memorandum from Shelley?
Nope. I've looked since I've been sitting here.
Okay, I'll look into that for you. I thought I saw it go out to all the members of the commission.
So he's absent because of?
He's on vacation.
Vacation,
Out of office,
okay.
on vacation.
No, I've looked, when I first walked in and I saw you sitting there, I started looking back on my emails and I couldn't find it, didn't know. So anyway, I received a lot of calls on, I think it was Thursday or Friday, from quite a few residents regarding the tree giveaway that we have here in the city. There was something sent out on Instagram where there were, inside this wagon or something, there are a bunch of monkeys grabbing for trees, and everybody started calling me, and I finally found it. And I think that, I'm not sure who put that particular incident on the city website to say, come and grab a tree or whatever, but it was kind of In other words, the African American community has a very long, dark history about monkeys. And I guess some of the residents took it in a way that appeared to be a little bit racist. So I think that's something that staff need to be aware of. I don't know whether it came from the communications department, from Sandra King's department, but yeah, I did see it, and when I looked at it, it could be taken different ways depending on how you look at it. But I received quite a few calls because of that. The last thing, I just wanted to ask the sound people in the back if they could do something to make the quality of the sound when we're speaking, that we could hear each other a little bit better on the dais, because when you're speaking on that end, sometime I can hear you and sometime I can't. So if they could just work on the sound. Other than that, everybody have a great August break. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner. And yes, I have to second. Especially tonight, I noticed it's like something's happened to our sound. It's
Sound is
gone
nice.
down in volume and tone, something. Yes, thank you. Commissioner Segerson-Eaton.
Yeah, it is difficult to hear, and it's especially hard when there's other noises in the chambers. It's distracting. I just have September 12th, Thursday evening, 7 p.m. The Crest Haven Civic Association will be meeting at the Charlotte Burry Center, and that's all I have. I hope everyone has a great time off.
Very, very good. Thank you, Commissioner. Vice Mayor.
Yes, I don't know if building department staff or building staff is here anymore, but I wanted to ask, I guess, the city manager's office. I think 2 or 3 months ago, Ms. Coleman on PNZ had asked for a report regarding our mixed-use designations and different types of qualifiers. We've been speaking a lot about trying to change some of the definitions and requirements in the mixed-use buildings to make them more attractive to what retail tenants are looking for, and make sure that they're building spaces that will achieve what we're trying to achieve, which is true mixed use. Not, we've had a few buildings that have gone up in the past that their mixed use is definitely not like, it's not the public commercial space that we all envision. It's not like we did under the Pierre Garage, where it's a coffee shop or something like that. Some of the buildings have used the mixed use in just ways in which is not cohesive in the highest best use of what we're trying to achieve. So I just wanted to follow up and see if perhaps over the hiatus we can get that report to start trying to make the changes to make sure that our buildings are being built best they can be and the most useful.
I will look into that for you.
Thank you. And other than that, have a great hiatus.
Very good. Thank you for that. I've just got a couple of things. First, I want to point out I got a notice from the FDOT that, let's see, there's going to be a full road closure at Copens Road just west of I-95 at the railroad crossing right there in front of Home Depot, or right before you get to Home Depot. It's going to be a full road closing. It's going to commence on Friday, August 16th at 6 a.m. Through Tuesday, August 20th at 6 a.m. So Copens Road will be closed just west of I-95 from August 16th through August 20th. So that's going to create quite a little traffic jam there. Then I'd like to transition, and Commissioner Perkins, thank you for bringing that up. I did not see the flyer that you described, but yes, I would apologize for the content. It was I'm sure there was no ill intent, but I think it bears closer scrutiny going forward. The type of illustrations that are used. I'll leave it at that. I apologize if anything was anyone was offended by it. I did not see it. I had nothing to do with it. But thank you for bringing it up, Commissioner Perkins. Appreciate it. We always need to strive to be more sensitive for all of our residents. So now, excuse me. To follow up with that, let's have some good news. Major Elwood, can you come forward? And it's good news. Now, I saw something where there's going to be, what is it, coffee with a cop That's coming up, and can you just talk about that just a little bit? I mean, I think it's a tremendous idea, and I responded about it that I think it should be duplicated around the city in various ways. But tell us what you're doing.
Yes, sir. So last Friday, we had a Coffee with the Cop event at How You Brewing in District 1, in the beach. And we're going to have one in each of the districts. We've identified several locations. We're working with the companies, the businesses to have these events. At the events, our command is there, myself, the captains that are here this evening, our core team specifically, they're very popular. They deal with a lot of the homeless issues, security issues. They really resonate with the community. A lot of questions that they have for what we do in those instances. So it was a great event. We had a lot of people there. The business benefits from it. I think some extra people come to the business to meet with us, and we're looking forward to do it in each district.
That's fantastic. And kudos to you, and thank you for instituting that. It's a great program to get out there and rub elbows with the folks that you serve. Thank you for that.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And with that, I'll just say have a great break, everyone, and enjoy yourselves. And and this meeting is adjourned.